Fire and blood, life and death. I summon ye, whose blood I have brought. Fire and blood, life and death.
Hello, this is Dean Phoenix with another installment of my Deathmatch walkthrough for New Game Plus. After we'd finished the finale, which has hopefully gotten everybody the achievement if you were following the guide to get the achievement on New Game Plus for Deathmatch, we're moving on to Hearts of Stone, and this is the next episode of that Hearts of Stone walkthrough. So there are a few things here. There's not much combat, but I'm just going to cover some of the missable things that happen in this particular section of Hearts of Stone and what you need to look out for. First things first, you must speak to this lady who is a Witcher fanatic during the Maximilian Bossodi auction house mission and buy the legendary Viper diagrams. They are the only place in the game and the only mission in the game that you can get them. You can't go back for them later. You can miss them entirely, so make sure you get the legendary Viper armor diagrams. There's also a missable Gwent card here. There are a couple of people, when you get the opportunity to speak to the old woman, there are a couple of people that you can speak to as well, and one of them is a quite cocky Gwent player. But if you manage to beat him, you will get the Gaunter O'Dimm card, which he is just about to play in a second. Now, it's only 2 strength, but if you hadn't already mustered the Gaunter O'Dimm darkness cards like he had there, it would summon them. So it's an okay card, you can have it in the deck, and more importantly, it is unique. So if you want to get the Gwent cards for Hearts of Stone, you need to make sure that you beat this guy. So save beforehand, because he does have a Nilfgaardian deck, and depending on what you get and what you draw and spies and everything else, there's always the chance that he can beat you. So just be careful, make sure you beat him and get the Gaunter O'Dimm card, as I am about to do just now. Now, the other thing you can do is there is a merchant who is talking about the portraits and paintings and things. If you tell him that you have some idea what you're talking about, and then speak to him, and when he asks you which painting is from the particular artist, you say the merchant with the pearl earring, he will give you a tip about this part for the auction, and you can get the painting and then sell it on for a profit to Marcus, the bookstore owner. Make sure that you don't tell Vimy what you are, the tip that he gave you, because otherwise you'll have to pay slightly more for the painting at the auction. So at the auction, it starts off with this statue of the falcon or the eagle, and you want to maybe bid for this one because it opens the quest Dark Legacy. When you dismantle it, it has something inside it, and you can read that and get the Dark Legacy, which is a side quest for Hearts of Stone. An interesting little thing to do there. And by this point in New Game Plus, you should have absolutely tons of money anyway, even considering the fact that we need to have upgraded the room right again and get all the Grandmaster Legendary armor sets, which cost about 22k each maybe, depending on if you follow my crafting video and get them cheaper. So make sure you have lots of money going into this, and you can bid for those and get the Viper diagrams. If you did take the tip for choosing the right portrait when talking to the bloke in the previous scene, and then you kept that information from Vimy, you will be the only person who bids for this. So you can get it for 20 crowns, and then you can sell it on to Marcus. I think you get 500. So Marcus is the bookstore owner on Novigrad Square. So that's an interesting little thing you can do there. I did actually try and hang this painting in Corvo Bianco instead, but I think because it's a quest item, if I remember correctly, I couldn't hang the painting. So there isn't really any benefit to keeping it, which is a bit of a shame. Now lastly, the last item, same as it was in the first playthrough of Hearts of Stone, would be the Professor's Spectacles. Now, normally you lose all masks going into New Game Plus, but if you followed my advice and just kept the spectacles by themselves from your first Hearts of Stone playthrough, you can be wearing them there as Geralt. You can see there I have my spectacles on, and there are also another pair of spectacles. This is quite fun because you can get the ass ears later on in a quest in Hearts of Stone that we'll be coming on to, and then you can combine those into the concealment kit where you put the two together, and it's just a little funny thing to have. So those will cost you 350 if you want the second pair of spectacles, and then you can either have 2 pairs of specs, which is a bit pointless, or you can combine one into the concealment kit for a laugh and put those with the ass ears, which is quite funny. And well, you might as well, because you're not going to do anything else with those 350 crowns really, because you should have tons of money by this point, as I was saying before. So second pair of Professor's Spectacles there. Then we continue the mission, and you have to deal with this shady character, and he gives you the options for who you want on the heist. And again, there's only minor differences in the quest, but first things first, when it comes to the choice between Evelyn and Hugo, go and do the Hugo part of the quest first. And the reason is for that is spoilers. he's dead. So because he's already passed away, if you do his bit of the quest, you get an extra experience. Evelyn is the only option for actually using in the quest, so you might as well do that bit first with Hugo, find out that he's dead, get the experience, then go and do Evelyn's part. For the destruction artist, getting into the safe, you can either free the safe cracker from the mercenary, or you can get Casimir the dwarf if you talk him down. Now, because I had used 3 points in delusion to get down to hard sweep, because you need to use those points to unlock hard sweep, I actually had delusion. I could talk Casimir off the roof just using level 3 of delusion. So you might want to consider that, A, because it gives you a tiny bit of extra experience, but more importantly, because if you have Casimir, then you won't have to fight the arachnomorphs going into the safe. So that's useful. Now for these encounters here, you have a wooden sword, because Geralt doesn't want to kill anybody, but fortunately with Euphoria we can do such mental damage that you can still knock everybody out with throw a salmon bomb or northern wind, and then use bombs, and Rend will put them down even in one hit with a wooden sword, which is quite funny. So this bit can be quite a bit easier than you're doing it on the original playthrough because of the New Game Plus build. When you get to the actual safe, you see here, as I said before, I had Casimir the dwarf as part of the crew, and you can choose whether to support you and Borsodi here or what you want to do. The easiest way to deal with this fight is just throw a northern wind bomb, and then you've got your steel sword back and just destroy them with Severance Whirl like we do to pretty much every other enemy in the game. So yeah, northern wind bomb makes that go really quick, and it's not a difficult fight by any means, so you might as well finish it as quickly as possible. So after you forcefully knock this gentleman aside, much like you can do to Dijkstra, you've then got the choice to make here with the Borsodi brother, and he wants to take Borsodi's house. Now I don't like either of these Borsodi brothers, and I am just gonna kill him. Now depending on what happens, if you have Casimir as your option, he will side with Borsodi here, so you'll have to fight them both, but that's still much easier to fight both of those than it is to fight the arachnomorphs if you have the safecracker. So whichever option you make for the safecracker or the demolitions guy here will affect your choices and the fights that you have to have at this little bit. It's very easy to beat the two of them. Now mysteriously you've got all of your gear back, even though it wasn't in your inventory just a moment ago, so you can switch back to all of your gear, re-equip my spectacles obviously, and you can see the second lot of the second compare of the spectacles there as well. Well, Rend, oh look, you're very silly. What are you doing? Why are you attacking me? Have you not figured this out yet, you complete and utter jackasses? Anyway, so as you can see here, extremely easy to beat Borsodi, same stuff as always. Rend, hard sweep, whirl. He's actually very good at blocking whirl, but nobody can block Rend, which is why it's such an amazing skill. So you can just parry and hit him like that, or you can just rend him like that and rend asunder. So yeah, pretty easy. So after we've taken him out, there is a load of good stuff to loot here. Now it makes it seem like it's a pressing concern and people are going to break into the vault, but you have as much time as you want, so make sure that you thoroughly loot everything. There are lots of gold and silver items and stuff that can be dismantled into gems, but the most important thing to get is this chest here. And as you can see, that's the legendary Viper Venomous Steel Sword, which is a pretty good sword, and it has some interesting stats. And in my game, because I grinded to get to level 61 before starting New Game Plus, mine would be level 100. But it doesn't make an enormous difference either way. But yeah, definitely worth getting that diagram because it is a unique diagram item. It's not a difficult sword to craft. The only marginally expensive thing is a couple of dimeritium ingots there, so you might as well grab it. And then have the option of using that sword if you want, maybe for a Viper themed build or something else. One of my favourite little lines. CDPR poking fun at themselves with the candles. I absolutely love it. They're just so good. Anyway, once we've done that mission, we're moving on. We got a little bit of dancing, chilling out with Shani at the Dead Man's Party. Now, I'm not gonna lie, you might hate me for this, but I really hate replaying this mission on New Game Plus. It's like kind of funny the first time, but it's just a bunch of run and fetch quests and boring stuff. After you've done that quest, there's not a lot to look out for. Make sure you get the Swineherd trophy. And if you want, you can deliberately or maybe unintentionally lose to the halfling, and make sure that you get the ass ears. Now that will cost you 5% of your money, so don't forget that. But they are a unique item, so if you don't need the money for anything else, you might as well get them. You can also play Olgierd after you've completed that mission and go to meet him in Oxenfurt, and you can get the Toad card, which is a 7 strength ranged card for the monster deck, which will also scorched range and is very good. Useful card for balancing out some things there, and helps against stuff like Scoia'tael and particularly Nilfgaard with their archers, so that's a really good little card. You can grab that too. And you can also go and visit Shani after Dead Man's Party is finished, and if you beat her you can get the Olgierd card, which is a really good card as well. It's a 6 strength, agile and morale card, so you can put it on either the combat or the ranged row, and it'll also give +1 to every other card on that row. It's a really interesting card and a good one to have in a lot of different decks. So you get that from Shani. You can play her in her clinic in Oxenfurt on the first floor in her room. So play her, grab that. Now, the other thing that you need to bear in mind is that the concealment kit, and you can get the concealment kit by returning to this place here, which you may remember is the merchant camp with the Gwent Obsessed merchant outside Carson, just here on the map. And after you've done those particular quests, the concealment kit will magically appear there, the diagram, and you can craft that. So please like and subscribe, and